out this town, baby, just say when. I'm hanging on to the good times, letting go of the bad ones, and giving the benefit of the doubt. No, we're still trying to figure both our lives out. Let's hit the road. No destination, let's just go. I don't care where we go, anywhere but here. No destination, let's just get out this damn town. Well, that's a bright idea.
Chasing Rolac, 1998, July 21st.
Grayson McCrone, 1997, September 25th.
Okay, I gotta know, when and how did you meet?
We played baseball together, but somehow or another, our parents got it together where I was gonna ride with him because I didn't have my license for a long time.
Sophomore year.
From school to practice, from practice to our houses, we became friends.
That's right.
I mean, that would certainly do it.
Yeah.
Was there any specific reason you didn't have your license for so long, or just
bad and lazy?
How was home life like?
Home life, it was chill, I guess. I mean, nothing too crazy. Lived here all my life, so.
We moved around. My family did personally. Really had to build a strong connection with my two brothers. So it was a little rough, patches here and there, but we found ways to make the good out of it.
So would you say that Blountstown's probably the best place that you've been, or what would be your favorite place that you've moved around?
Yeah, I'd say Blountstown just because we had a steady house, two parents in the home, at least one sibling there, so we had each other's company. So it was good here. I'd say here.
So you were trying to get into architecture?
Yeah. I graduated 2 degrees in architecture.
Do you currently work in architecture?
I do, in Panama City.
Are there any recognizable buildings that you've worked on in Panama?
Oh, no. I just started. It's I'm only 3 months, 4 months into it. So
For the future.
Hey.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll look back on this in the future and you'll be like,
I do have some buildings now.
Yeah. What about you? Did you go to college?
I did go to college, Albany State, another HBCU over in Georgia. So shout out to the HBCUs out there.
I mean, what was your trying to get a degree, and why were you going for that?
I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, but don't really want to do anything with it yet.
So when did you start realizing that you guys were into music?
So growing up, it was only like country for the most part, because that's just what my mom listened to. That's who I was riding with. And then once I got into high school, I started riding with my sister, and then she kind of broadened it, I guess you could say. And I kind of took it from there. And then it only helped whenever I started taking him. He's like, yo, listen to the song. Like,
and vice versa. So that riding with him was a big part of, since I guess maybe because he had a small spectrum of music growing up, maybe when he finally got to show me some of his music that he listened to that I was kind of off of, it kind of just bounced well. So I would show him some, he'd show me some. And then growing up with my aunt Samantha, she's big into music. She was singing, so yeah. She would always welcome us over to play and do whatever.
So, like, what instruments, or like, I mean, obviously you do vocals as well. What did you start doing?
I'd say started doing the vocals because we started out just getting a beat from YouTube, and then we'd come up with some words and a melody, and then we would just record my voice. So
on a
first instrument, the vocals.
Right.
Second instrument, I guess a keyboard.
Just
because it's on the laptop and it's always, you can get any instrument really.
Right.
That was the one that was easy.
I started off with a little bit of piano, just kind of playing around on it because my grandma had one and stuff, so I'd play on hers. And then one day I came back from college from Tallahassee, and my dad had 2 guitars that he just got. And I was like, can I take one of these back? And he was like, yeah. So I started playing the guitar some.
Well, how did you come up with your name, your band name?
Coach Bugs.
I don't know. I just think it was both of our names, so it could tell you who both of us was, and they just happened to rhyme. And then if we wanted to even change it differently, Grayson and Chasen also rhymes. So I guess our names are just supposed to be in sync.
It's supposed to
I
be
gotta
in
ask what you
sync.
mean by Coach Bugs.
He was our wide receiver coach in
Coach
football,
Bugs, Charles.
and we were friends, so we were always around each other. He was like G&Chi, Grayson and Chasen.
I honestly can't put a finger on how it first came about though. It just seems to always be a thing.
Yeah.
It just was.
It just
made to be.
It was,
you know?
honestly.
You guys released the album Year 5 and the story behind the name, you know.
Yeah. Year 5. It was our 5th year doing it, wasn't it?
I can't. Go ahead and finish your account.
We graduated. This is the way I remember it. We graduated, and then we started, really getting into making the music and all. After we graduated, for the most part, and then that was our 5th year, and that's when things start changing. You go through 4 years of college and everything. People start moving off, and things start changing. Year 5.
Yeah. I can agree with that, but another piece of that story I can say is I know we've had a couple conversations where are we going to be at in 5 years? Like when that 5th year hits, like what's going to be different? What's going to be the same?
Oh, right.
Is what a big part I took from it, because it's such a big mystery and you want it to be something so bad, but it's always interesting to see how things play out in fall.
So 2025, where do you think you'll be?
2025, shoot.
It's hard to say.
I can assure that I'm going to be making music.
100%. It's too fun not to do.
Hopefully just in by 5 years, I don't know a place or where, but have a good, decent sized crowd that just comes to see me everywhere I go. Be pretty dope.
What songs are you guys' favorite that you've made, and what are the lyrics, especially if you got a specific lyric? Which one really speaks to you, and what does it mean?
I'd say for me, we have a song called "I'll Be Okay," and in the second verse it goes, "Break away the shell and get to the soft stuff that we tuck deep inside our brains." I don't know. It's like everybody puts up a big shield, or everybody puts on this big old shield when it comes to their personal and stuff that really makes them click and go and their Achilles heel. So I don't know, just breaking down those walls. So that song "I'll Be Okay" I think rings true.
It's funny because I think one of my favorites is also on Year 5, because that one's on Year 5, and maybe Destination Zero. Very good.
That one is my favorite.
You can't help but nod your head when it starts playing. And I don't know, I really like Love Bug. I just like the way it sounds. It sounds so good.
And a funny thing about Year 5 too, like talking about the instruments, that was the first project we put out to where we were actually playing everything.
Yeah,
we didn't get anything from anywhere. We just played the instruments and recorded everything off a mic. So it was good.
Artists were your biggest inspirations as you start writing or as you grew up, or even both, if you feel like?
Starting off, I had to say Chance the Rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was popping off at that time too. More recently, Leonard Skinner.
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
Love some Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah, I like that.
Of course.
I'd say coming up, Chance, like he said, Queen. I'll say even Freddie Mercury more specifically, just him. Michael Jackson, Chris Brown. And then more recent times, I'd say I picked up the guitar recently, so Jimi Hendrix, John Frusciante, who is lead guitarist for Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's one specifically for you, though. I gotta know. Because, I mean, me and a lot of other people say that you sound a lot like your voice has shares a lot of qualities with Ozzy, but then you also show me Rainbow Kitten Surprise. And, I do gotta say that one is more like it because it uses the same vocal qualities in the same manner.
Yeah.
But, I gotta know, what are your thoughts on the idea that it kind of sounds like Ozzy?
I mean,
I would have never thought Ozzy, but
sounds good to me.
Yeah, maybe I can hear it actually.
So, personally, you mentioned Destination Zero. That one is gonna have to be my favorite simply because I vibe with the idea of just getting out of this town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Huge.
I mean, what were a lot of the in-depth thought ideas when you guys were making that one?
Probably just that, just getting out. Because I we had always said like we don't necessarily want to end up in Bluntstown.
No.
So I mean, it's small. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on here. A lot.
There's no jobs.
There's none of that. So getting out, that's a big thing.
And especially at the time of writing it, it was near the end of college. So you kind of really wondering, what am I going to do when I get out of college? Where am I going to go? Just trying to get out. Anywhere. Basically, destination zero. It don't matter where. That place.
And what I've heard from other people and what I've seen a bit on your TikTok is you seem to just draw lyrics out of thin air. Like, is there a secret to that? Because
No secret.
Impossible to me.
But I'll say this. When I write, typically it's my way of venting and getting off whatever emotional buildup I have. So whenever I'm singing or you're hearing some of my lyrics, that's my emotion. It's like you're reading my diary, basically, in song form. That's just how I write my diary. That's it.
Now, have you written any of the lyrics? And
I have written some. It comes a lot harder for me than what it does for Chi, obviously, because you don't hear it.
Is the norm.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me. Like I have to sit down and really analyze things, and I don't know. I get in my head about the way things sound. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of this sounds stupid, but then you kind of
there's so much.
Yeah,
of that.
pause there. We have a song called Jukebox Baby that a lot of people tend to like, and he sent me over a beat when we were both in college. So he's in Tallahassee, I'm in Georgia, and he sent me over this track of Jukebox Baby, and it had this little piano part that he basically, the moral of the story is you should always show the other person what you have. Like when you get it's weird how we see music pretty similarly, and when he shows me something that he may not think is good, I find something, and then we piece it together, and then when we have it together, it just makes
Comes
a
out
beautiful
something pretty
song.
nice.
That makes sense.
The piano for Jukebox Baby was lack of better words, a throwaway melody for that beat that I sent. The main melody was I mean, I couldn't tell you what it was, but the way really the way FL Studios worked was if I made it to an audio clip, it wouldn't send it like the way I'd want it to, because he didn't have that exact audio clip on his computer. Mm-hmm. And I just did the piano on the on the MIDI, and so that was the only one that came up, and so he went from there. And I had no idea it did until he had said that he was writing to it, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, one of those that kind of just like that's playing, and then the lyrics kind of just fall into place.
That's honestly, that is such a good line. I mean, how many takes did it take to get that belt? Where you had to belt out that "Take me to jail"?
It probably took a few.
Don't quite remember.
No, I don't. But I have a thing. I feel like I have a small form of OCD to where if I'm just not singing something right, I will redo it 100 times, and really until I can't sing it anymore. It'll get to where it's like, dang, I ain't got it. I have to stop. I've done it too many times.
I've been helping a friend record some music, and it's one of those, when you're doing live, nobody gonna care if you mess up, right? That's a one-time thing, and it actually adds some character. Nobody wants to go to a live show and hear exactly what they're gonna hear on Spotify.
That's true.
Why go to a live show then?
Yeah, right. Just go listen to Spotify, right?
It's true.
So, but when you're recording, when you're getting ready to post it on the Spotify, like, if you have time, take the time to make it perfect, I feel like.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, it's done. It's done. But I will say this. Some of the quicker songs that have been put out, and I wouldn't say they're rushed or anything. Like they're done how I want it.
A little quicker.
Yeah,
they get done a little quicker. That's how some things go.
Yeah.
Well, which songs were those? I gotta know.
There's one called Graduation that was like that.
That's a really good one.
Jukebox Baby was like that. And Why I See It, We Don't Want to Go.
One of the fun
ones.
that
song?
Yeah, we don't want to go. That one's
okay, it was at his apartment, and I'll say, this is a core memory now. When we finally got the lyrics of how that song was going to go, we had the music. He played some chords, and once we finally got some words in there, oh my God, it felt so good.
That was fun. I did enjoy it. Thank God people were moving out next door because they were gone. We were screaming, into the mic and stuff to get that,
wonderful.
to get the recording. It was so fun.
I'd say after that, it came together pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would probably say so.
But making songs when we're separated by ourselves is nothing compared to when we get together and something's clicking. It's just for sure.
Okay, so I had graduated from architecture school, second degree. I like throwing that in there. That Friday, so I had my final presentation and all, and I go back that weekend. I come back to Bluntstown that weekend. Monday, I don't even remember what I did Monday, but it obviously nothing probably, or I probably came here.
Probably a couple of days before you did.
Yeah. And then Tuesday comes around, and Tuesday was the day my dad was retiring. So that comes around, and then it goes, and he texts me probably like 1 or 2, and I was sending emails to the job that I'd already lined up for after graduation and everything in like 2 weeks or so. And then he texts me, he's like, "Hey, you want to go flying?" And of course, like, you're not going to turn that down. Like, duh.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Even I wouldn't turn that down.
No,
after,
I mean, who doesn't want to go flying? So I was like, yes, please. And at the time, I want to say I was here, and we were riding longboards around.
Yep, scatting around town.
And I left here, and I want to say I went straight there to the airport. And no, I picked him up from the house, and then went straight to the airport. And we get there, and then we didn't know that the other person, Devin, we didn't know he was going, and him and Steve were already there. Oh, excuse me. And we start messing with mics because we had never had 4 people in there before that I know of. They had been flying the plane off and on for like a few months, if not every day, every other day. And we get there, and we're setting up the mics. We all can talk to each other and all. And finally get it all working, pull it out of the hangar. We all get in, and I'm gonna go right up until what I remember. They already did the checks and everything and all that jazz. And we get in. This is Devin's first time flying, so I'm looking at him and I'm asking him questions and stuff. And we taxi out to the runway, and we take off. The wheels come off the ground, and I look over at Devin, and that's the last I remember.
Yeah, it's pretty traumatic, so I imagine it's not something your brain wants to bring back.
Yeah, well, they said, like, in the hospital after I woke up, they said it could come back, might not. If it does, it'll be way down the line, maybe in a dream or something. I mean, I wish I knew exactly what happened so I could tell you right here. But I did hear that, like, the engine shut off. I don't know what from, but engine shut off. So right after takeoff, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
Went down. I woke up. Like I said, I was in a drug induced. Not coma, because I was still. So the drug I was on, one of the side effects is you don't remember like anything, and so for 5 weeks, I'm missing 5 weeks, and I came to, they're weaning me off drugs and stuff, and I had dreams that I was shot down by the cartel. Like, I mean they were vivid. Like, I woke up saying like, because I had my girlfriend and my mom were over there by me, and I was like, yeah, I got shot down the cartel. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I knew what had happened, but not to the extent. Obviously, I looked down and I saw, what I had.
Was it more
legs
like
too.
casts, or were they already like?
This one was already out in the open. Like this was the first one to heal up well. This one was wrapped up.
I imagine so. Yeah.
So, and I like the way grafts work. They take your skin. So I'm grafted from here all the way up this. I'm burnt from here. This whole leg was burnt. Grafts from here up to there. And then I have one graft right there. And I don't think I took anything from this arm. So all this was healing. Actually, this graft right here, probably hurt the worst. Like because every time they come in, they would say, "What's your pain at?" And I'd always say 0 because I really didn't have any pain. Thank God.
You were on quite a bit of meds.
I was on a lot of meds, but they still apparently expect me to have pain, and I wasn't, which
so a little high.
Very interesting. Yeah, probably. Yeah, they said me and Chi. We went and talked to the first person that was on the scene.
Yeah, Chris Jordan,
shout out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do actually know that guy. I did phone tour with him for his senior year.
Yeah, big shout out to him.
Big shout out. He was the first one there. He said he was driving on the road and he pulled in like 30 seconds after. Oh yeah, I was up and walking. Where I was walking to, no idea. He saw me walk over towards because if you know where the crash was, do you know where the crash was?
No, not a clue.
So the airport runs like this, and you have the road.
Yeah.
The crash was like right here, right on the outside.
So
of the fence.
Either y'all were coming back in, or y'all didn't get very far.
Oh yeah, we didn't get very far at all. It was right after takeoff, and yeah, the engine shut off for some reason, I think, and yeah, I mean, we went down. I couldn't tell you how exactly still. But yeah, like in the hospital, come to find out, I almost lost my ear. This ear, almost lost. Huh?
Oh, Van Gogh style.
Yeah, really. Almost lost his hand. That's what this cut was from. I was swelling so much that it was cutting off circulation.
So they had to let a lot of that pressure.
Yeah, they had to cut that to relieve the pressure.
It looks like a dagger.
You like it?
Might as well
I know how to get one. I know how to give you one.
Get some ink in there and make it a dagger.
Well, they said tattoos on scar tissue hurts like crazy.
I believe it.
Scares me.
And as well as I've learned from a friend of mine, I was talking about it was
Right.
an accident. Like it's way more susceptible to like temperature.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it being cold out, I imagine you're pretty suffering with it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's either you're on fire hot or you were freezing cold. There's no in betweens.
Yeah, they just lost a lot of those layers.
Yeah, all of the layers. Like I don't sweat out of this anymore. Anywhere you see burns, like I said, I have burns from here to there. It doesn't sweat or anything. But yeah, I almost lost this year. I was 3rd and 2nd degree from this side of my face on. 3rd degree off to the fingertips. 3rd degree. These 2 bracelets were actually what I was wearing. And if you can see where the burn stops and it keeps going.
So those actually kind of protected you a little bit.
They stopped from burning right there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You just gotta make a close of those.
That's what my mom told my girlfriend, because she's the one who gave me these.
They need to sponsor you.
Yeah, honestly.
Sponsor. They don't burn.
Oh wait,
they don't burn.
Oh yeah, there was people there that were like a lot worse than off that I was. I was 36% burnt. Like during the nights, you would sometimes hear people screaming down the hall and stuff. There was a guy there. He was actually 98%.
Ooh,
yeah.
No.
And he was in the room next door to me. And you know how I said the drug induced, like not necessarily coma, but I was like just forgetting things.
Days,
kind of in a way. He was like that, and so I was estimated 2 months, and that was pretty spot on for where I was. He was estimated a full year of being in the hospital. And
I don't think you ever come out the same of that.
Well, he ended up passing away a little bit after I left. which was really sad.
Was it from the injuries or just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a car crash and another truck came up and pinned him and then it caught on fire. It was really sad. But yeah, so I think I was going with the way skin grafts work. They had to have me pinned down, and I ended up fighting a lot. Apparently, like I don't remember.
A lot of people when they're on those drugs, they get
you get confused, mad.
So they
said I was
expect that.
mad too. So, so you have to be still because they take your skin off, right? The graft skin, and they just lay it on you. They don't say staple it. Oh, excuse me. Nothing. They just lay it on you and wrap it up, and so you have to stay still for it to heal and your skin to grab it. But I always thought that was very interesting. So I have like pictures of where I have like cadaver skin on me and stuff. I don't think I showed one where I was like actually my skin. I was mostly covered up with a lot of that.
With the burned skin, I didn't know. It seems obvious now, but I didn't know that you had to be so like clean with it. Like going into the room, you had to dress up. And when we come to visit in the hospital, we couldn't even go in, because I don't know if it was because COVID or just because the burns.
It was partly COVID.
You got to keep it clean and stuff.
Yeah, it was partly COVID.
For some reason, I didn't know that.
I was only allowed 4 people over the whole stay, and so it was my girlfriend Devin, another Devin, not in the plane crash Devin, my mom and my sister, and then my mom and Devin stayed there, like off and on for the most part. But yeah, shout out to Shan's, shout out to the Shan's nurses. Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty much it of the story. But I mean, I don't know, how did you find out about the accident? What was your story of dealing with that?
My brother Devin called me.
The third Devin in this story.
Yeah, really. Plenty of Devins.
Not that Devin.
Y'all have Joshes. We have Devins.
But yeah, I was at work and he just said he was coming to get me. There's a lot more packed into it, but it was wild. Thought he was dead for a long time. Getting calls from other friends to confirm, nobody really knows anything because it's coming from I don't know, just so many sources were saying so many things. So it was definitely, it was a wild experience.
Broke Devin's windshield.
Broke Devin's windshield on accident.
Now, which Devin was this?
My Devin.
Brother Devin.
Still on the third Devin.
Brother right. Devin.
But yeah, I don't know. When we finally kind of got some friends together to kind of recount everybody's situation, it was just, everybody had that feeling of Grayson's dead for at least an hour. So everybody it was interesting kind of explaining how.
It was scary, I imagine.
Yeah, it was definitely scary, but.
I was fine the whole time.
Now, this is going to be a very optional question because it's going to be a very, emotional question. But, do you remember finding out what happened to your father?
I do. And Steve. So they both died on impact. They actually didn't know that my dad was in there. So what happened was, I think me and Devin were thrown from the plane. And Steve was kind of tossed from it, but not as far. And then Dad ended up staying in it, and the way the wind was blowing and how it was our side of the plane that caught on fire, I think it was. And the way the wind was blowing this way. So if you're looking at the plane, it was my dad, Steve, me, Devin. And this whole side was where the most of the flames were. It was engulfed, and so much fire to where they didn't know Dad was in there. And even on the flight there, I actually talked to the life flight people, and they said that they didn't know it was in there, and they didn't find out until they flew me to TMH, and then flew back, and that's when they found out that Dad was in there. Which I went to TMH, and then I went to Shan's. So I didn't know to the extent of the crash, like I was saying, and one day, I want to say probably 3 or 4 days after I started coming to, Mom and Devin, girlfriend Devin, were in the room, and I asked I asked Mom, I said, why hasn't Dad been here? And
I can imagine
when
she
you-
probably broke down by that question.
yeah, you could tell something was wrong. And from that, it was kind of like we both. Okay, so whenever I asked it, I almost knew
Yeah, because
without
it just
knowing
seemed like something that he would,
that
he'd
he
be
would have
there.
been there, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew when I asked, but
But
not
you were
knew.
hoping.
And see, I didn't have in my mind that he had passed then either. Like it was like, oh, where is he? But at the same time, like once I said it, I was like, it kind of sunk in
you
that what
felt the
happened.
room air, I would imagine.
And she came over to me, and she told me. And then I asked about Steve, and she told me that he had passed too. And I almost didn't want to know the next one. I said, was I the only survivor? And she said no, and there was like a sigh of relief. I was like, thank God. And then she told me Devin was okay, that he had, I don't remember exactly what he had broken, but he was alive. He survived the crash. And and then crying.
Yeah,
There's plenty of crying, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have to move on. There wasn't much I could do. Like, somebody asked me, I was like, it's in the past now. There's not much I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it now except for live with it. Obviously, if I would have known something was going to happen, I would have for sure talked them out of it. Of course, obviously. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. I would have slashed their tires or something.
Nothing you could have done about it.
Nothing. There is nothing I could have done. But yeah.
Just when we went up there, it's like, the family's going through a hard time, but all of them kept a straight face and just stayed so strong through the whole process. It was wild to see, really. Miss Treva, Randa, all the close family that was in the hospital and stayed in the hospital. They just kept such a strong, I don't know. But it was definitely a good
perseverance,
good group to have around, and definitely made a difference for sure, I'd say.
It's definitely a good thing we live in the era we do, where they know so much about this kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think Gainesville is one of the top has one of the top burn units, like in hospitals, like in the country. So,
and then that's where you were,
and that's where I was, Gainesville, Shands.
Nice.
Yeah. So when you take an X-ray or a MRI, and MRI is that? Yeah, I think that's it. And it shows your lungs. They're supposed to be all white.
Yeah.
Mine were completely black.
From the smoke or from what?
We're not sure.
So that's not good.
So yeah, I couldn't breathe by myself.
So breathing machine.
Yeah, I was on a ventilator
from the hole.
Oh yeah,
especially
right there.
Oh, I assumed that was for the burns.
That's from a ventilator.
Okay.
I had a ventilator on for that 5 weeks or so. I remember them putting it on while I was still conscious too. So, and it was awful.
Oh yeah,
it was the
I
worst.
Can't imagine.
It was so bad. I remember getting the trach out, and I was like,
oh, it was slimy.
It wasn't bad because they'd come in there and change it a lot. Yeah, so. But I just have a hole in my neck at that point, so you just had to throw a bandage on it.
You just gotta tell them
I've been smoking for longer than you've been alive.
See, they thought that, but then they said we hadn't seen it like this before, so they thought it was a fire extinguisher. But I wasn't like they never sprayed me with anything, so we were thinking maybe it was like chemicals from like the seat or just chemical like
you're probably breathing like
some kind of fume. Yeah, just some kind of fumes, right? Because they had no idea because it was so irritated.
Yeah, and it's not like anybody who was there could be telling.
We really had no idea, and like you can find pictures of like the plane. Like there was nothing left of it, so there was like no idea what was in my lungs. Like to the point they had to paralyze my diaphragm 2 or 3 times.
And that's like your whole like lungs and whatnot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So with the ventilator on, paralyzing the diaphragm, that way I really couldn't breathe by myself. Like there was nothing except for the ventilator helping me breathe. They did that. They had to. I have 2 scars right there from chest tubes where they had to suction out the lungs a lot because I had liquid in it. I had pneumonia twice. I had a staph infection in my lungs.
Oof.
Yeah,
Blood clot.
a blood clot in my lungs. I had corona, not COVID, but corona. I ended up getting COVID outside of the hospital, like the week after I got off.
Oh no, because I imagine your lungs might have been at least a little sore after all that.
Not necessarily sore, but it was hard to catch your breath. Like I couldn't walk very far.
And then COVID hits, and that's worse. That's
And then
right there
I
in
had
those lungs.
COVID. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, a split spleen. Like I had a tear in my spleen. No broken bones. Not sure how that
Have you
happened.
ever had a broken bone?
I haven't.
How about you? I don't know.
A thumb, does that count?
Nah,
A
close
fractured
enough.
thumb.
What'd you do your sternum?
I don't know if I don't think anything broke, but it was
Hurt.
definitely a foot in it.
I had said before, like I have trouble writing. He does majority of the writing. So anything that when it comes to that, like I have written, they weren't anything to brag about. They weren't anything to brag about.
But, it's the whole thing. We went through it with vice versa. Back when we was in my laundry room and I was singing, I would always think my voice sounded bad and I always needed effects or something. I was like, if we could just get some auto-tune on my voice, it would sound so good. But he was the one always talking me down off of it. But really, shout out to him because he really was, back in the early days when we were first starting off, pushing like, your voice, it sounds good, Chi, or whatever. So now that he's actually writing a little bit and doing verses, we have a couple songs where he has verses on. And they sound good, but of course he's going to say they don't. But they do sound good. They do. But anyways, continue.
Well, I like you said, I have trouble writing like slower, sadder things. It's same thing with like playing. I say that I always go like, so if I'm playing something like a keyboard or something, I'm always going to go darker. Always, it always sounds like more bass. Just it sounds so good.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little bass.
No,
as a bass player, I appreciate it.
See, and I mean, I don't. There's something about like just dark. It always just it's almost comfortable, and you just enjoy listening to it. Like it almost gives you shivers. Yeah, but I guess if I had any trouble, it would be that I haven't really tried. I guess, but if I had to say one, it'd probably be that. I think.
And when things do get kind of off, and you're not really, I don't know, coming up with things, it helps so much. Like when we were in college separated, when we would come see each other, it was just, even if we didn't come up with anything, it was just a good vibe. Something usually sprung from it.
I know you mentioned like sitting in the laundry room whenever you guys are first starting. Was there ever like a moment before G&Chi where it was like, this is something we have to do?
I'd say after our first one.
Yeah, we made like a little parody song with a couple of other guys on a baseball team. It was funny or whatever, but it was fun. I suppose.
It was real fun.
But that was with a group of people and just having fun. But once me and Grayson kind of got just with us, it became more serious, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the content of the songs, even though we had a couple goofy songs at the beginning, the content was more serious, and the intent behind the music was more serious. So
yeah. We started with it was me and you, and it was Tyreek, and it was Tucker Jordan. Yeah.
We all rapped.
Yeah, and I'm over here. I was recording on a video editing.
I do the same thing. It's okay. I'm comfortable with
it. It is, and it was easy.
I actually do have EQ on Adobe. Like you have all the settings.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We
were over here googling how to get fuzz out of your mic, stuff like that, and got that out.
Shout out to your dad's laptop.
Shout out dad's laptop.
Talk about like getting the buzzing and all that.
Yeah.
Just that D noise.
The noise in the back. Got it off. And we started, and then we were gonna do another one. Or we did do another one.
Another what?
Song called The Assignment. Because the first one was The Project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we were going to do another one, and then everybody else is kind of like, meh. And then I think that's when we really started.
It kind of got off of doing. We went to college, I think, and then we had to find a new avenue of recording. We found this app, Ali Hoopa. It was free. Oh, some of the best apps. But we recorded some songs on.
A lot of songs, a lot of good songs.
That's where they're at.
Yeah,
very good songs.
Very good songs.
I was listening to Love Yourself. I was kind of thinking about. I noticed there's a part, and I cannot remember the exact lyrics, but there's the background vocals. Yeah, okay. Where it says it's all in your head, that part. And one of the background vocals one time says it's all in my head. And the question is, what does that mean though? Is that because it's you're telling yourself to love yourself in there, or?
I mean, like I said, it is an emotional vessel, and sometimes I do feel the emotion strong enough to where a song can be produced. And sometimes, yeah, I try to keep it broad sometimes, but
helps people latch onto the song better if it's more broad.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'd say here lately though in writing, it's more personal.
Yeah. It's just it was quite interesting to me that it says all in your head all the time but one, so that was kind of interesting to me seeing if that was a personal kind of thrown in.
I can go ahead and say yeah.
As far as you guys go, like, is there any genre that you're like, hey, this is kind of us, I guess, or you just kind of like your goal is to do your own thing and that's just that is your genre.
G&Chi.
I mean, I like being in like having the mystique of having their own little subset of type of music, but alternative, psychedelic.
So a lot of the times what happens is like I'll like hear, I'll either go for like a feeling of a song, or say Chi did something and I might make a suggestion like oh, maybe if you go like higher right here but then go lower next or something like that. That's usually how the melodies come. If I'm like sitting there, I'm not trying to think of a melody. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. Like it's going to have to come like pretty naturally.
Has there been a moment where you were really down and you really felt like, oh, I don't know if I should do this? I mean,
oh yeah, there's been plenty of times.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's I don't know if I should do this, like just stopping. But it being more of like I do need to focus on other things of like say school or something like that. Like things are getting just more busy in other ways other than like music and stuff like that. But stopping altogether, no, it's never been like I need to do something else type thing.
I'll say for me that stopping, I would say like performing wise, like I said, music's gonna be here in my life forever. But in terms of making it my life and performing always, I'd say that it's come across my mind to stop. But again, it's got trusting your process and having that group around you that's going to keep you motivated to keep pushing through. It does help a lot.
What's kind of the ideas behind that song? I mean, while we're talking about it, what was?
We don't want to go.
I mean, go what? Go where? You don't want to. Maybe you don't want to die. You don't want to leave. What's up? What's up with that?
Well, another Easter egg in the writing: death is a driving factor in all of what y'all are listening to. It is always there in the writing. So,
I mean,
don't want to go death-wise. Don't want to. I don't know. Don't want to grow up. Don't want to have to do this. Don't want to have to do that. Anything.
Don't want to have to pay your taxes.
We want to stay. We want to stay right here in the dorm room making the song.
Yeah,
like we're doing right now. I don't want to do anything else, basically. And that was one of the ones that when it come together was just. Oh, I'll say for this performance, I guess I'll use the performance as the main thing. Nervousness, none. Just because I feel like I've thought about it. I've thought about doing it for so long, and I've reached the point to where I feel comfortable with my ability and what I'm doing. And it can lay out anything.
So from the looks of it, you're nervous about the performance.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying none.
That is normal to feel even a little,
As of right now, not as much. But
as
once that day comes on the drive there, the set before us, I may be shaking.
And don't get me wrong, like nervousness, natural nervous, like anything go wrong, I think about a lot of outcomes. But in terms of doing it, I don't know. I feel good about it. I feel like it'll.
I think it'd be fun.
What song do you think would be like where you really started getting the hang of doing music and getting the feel of putting it all together?
That's a good question.
Because there's always a learning curve.
But this
Oh, yeah.
okay. I'll say this: even when we started way back, first song we ever made, I feel like there's spurts of songs in there that are just even now they still register and are good. Like Beta to me is
That's good.
that'll still be one of the tops, and that was one of the earlier ones. So
That was the first one on.
yeah, that was the very
SoundCloud.
first
That
one
was
on
the very first
SoundCloud.
one on SoundCloud.
But I'm gonna say just year 5, just because that's when we was playing the instruments.
Yeah.
First, everything was us.
I mean, there's a big idea around that. People are most creative with limitations. Like, do you kind of agree with that? And maybe which limitations do you think have caused you to be the most creative?
I do agree with that, and what really, like, in my perspective, what really helped me, like, I guess, flex that muscle in my brain is actually architecture school, because you do have so many regulations or codes that you have to follow, but then you still get to make this design of a building that is completely different from anything other. So, and that really transferred over to the music and finding a way to work around us not knowing the technical things about the guitar, but going off of what sounds good, or not knowing the computer stuff as well, and just run out, YouTube, just running through everything. So, yeah.
Finding little ways to figure it out. Like when we first got FL Studios, which is a big piece in the music, because I don't know, making the beat.
It's really popular. It's good.
Yeah,
it's
it was very difficult. And once we finally figured that out, you just had to really piece it together.
Yeah, so it more clicked than just kind of slowly, or was it more slowly?
It was slow.
Oh, it was slow. There was nights I would just go through snares and just listen to snares, or just go through kick drums. Like, oh, I like that kick drum. Oh, that's a good one. There's so many.
You gotta learn your program.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And being limited on the guitar, since I'm not as skilled in it, you kind of have to find different ways without being too much of the same. Like I was saying, we use a lot of the same chords, but we try our best to make it sound different.
Yeah, you kind of move them around a little bit.
So with that limitation, you got to find different ways to make simple sound different.
Just chill. This girl gon' hold me down for real. For real. Heart wide open, how I feel. Maybe never wanna leave this place for real. For real. Heart wide open. I'm not leaving. I'm staying longer. I'm moving on to doing what I wanna. I'm speaking. Let's keep it proper. Thought I told you not to think that I don't love you. 'Cause you know that's a lie. Our love is paradise.
Brilliant.
Oh, we don't wanna go. So we just stay. We don't wanna go. Trust the process. You're okay. Gotta get rid of the toxic. You want no stress, no way. Try to ignore the nonsense. Don't care what they say. Gotta just trust your process. No, just trust your process, yeah. So we just stay. We don't wanna go. Trust the process. You're okay. Gotta get rid of the toxic. You want no stress, no way. Try to ignore the nonsense. Don't care what they say.
All right, we going?
Yeah, let's go.
I, Chase Nolak, Chi from G&Chi, give Vincent Harper permission to use songs for his video. Trust the process interview. Is that too scrambly?
Nah, it's okay. It'll do.